Well, I guess you can say shit got rather interesting really quick today. Now, I'm gonna just get right to the point. I happen to be in a Facebook group that Marbles happened to be in. He found a post about me talking about an ex-girlfriend who almost inflicted great bodily harm upon me. And meanwhile, his troll of a friend Noah decided that he was gonna bullshit people about certain events and cut out certain things that happened so that the context wouldn't fucking matter. And the funny thing is, he does this knowing that people on Facebook know my name and know the town I live in because of my Facebook profile. He basically openly says that I am somehow a pedophile for posting an image of somebody which is censored heavily in the area in which it should be censored. And basically, I'm just gonna break down what happened after that. I blocked Noah, I deleted the post, and I left the group. And the reason I did all three of those things is because A, I realized that Noah pretty much sullied my reputation in that group with like a single fucking sentence. B, I realized that staying in the group after Noah said that would basically just make more people ask me more fucking questions, which I would have answered, but honestly, I don't know how many people would have listened to me had I tried to explain myself anyway. Because people don't tend to listen to someone if they're accused of something, because we live in a culture nowadays where you cannot have proof and be wrong at the same time. And if the evidence is only circumstantial, people tend to take that over 100% confirmed guilt. And C, quite frankly, it just became tiring and I didn't want anything to do with him. And I know for a fact that if I stayed in the group, I would eventually run into him anyway. He would find a way to post vicariously through someone else. He would ask someone else to post in the group on his behalf, most likely, and then I would have motherfuckers fucking with me from all different directions because of the fact that they probably had pull there since they'd been in the group fucking longer. So I managed to talk to Marbles on his Facebook account. You know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna call him Paul. Because honestly, I feel like calling him Marbles is kind of giving him too much credit, like saying that he's like bigger than he actually is. Because quite frankly, he's another human being. He's not some sort of infallible entity that is superior to everyone if they make a single mistake. Or in that case, one big stupid fucking mistake that follows them around everywhere because people are so desperate for drama. Thing is, though, I talked to Marbles, basically asking him what the fuck his damage was, what his issue was, because at the time I did not realize he was part of the group. I did not notice that he himself had reacted, and I found his account only because of the fact that he had either liked or commented or replied to what Noah said. But nevertheless, when he and I started doing a little back and forth, it actually started relatively civil, and that was actually a big fucking surprise for me, considering the fact that Marbles has a long and sordid history of acting like a complete psycho to people when it comes to people doing shit that he does not agree with or does not approve of, or doing things that simply make him feel like he's not the most special snowflake there ever was. The thing is, I basically talked to him. I started trying to ask him a series of questions about shit that he did that could have invaded the privacy of other people who I know, that I asked him if he felt that it was fine that people like Gage Exposed and other people like that had threatened my girlfriend with rape and threatened me with murder because of the shit that he said. To which he didn't even answer, like he didn't even give me a definitive reply. He basically just sat there, kind of like giving me the digital 1,000-yard stare where he doesn't hear a single fucking thing I say, and he just kind of pretends that I didn't say anything. All the while, he started insulting me like, okay, pedo, chomo. It's like pedophile. It's like, well, why the fuck are you saying all these things if you know them to not actually be true? I mean, if I were an actual pedophile, I would have done what Omnipolitics did, where he openly admitted it. I think it's kind of ridiculous that a so-called pedophile would be dating a woman a year older than them. I mean, wouldn't that be kind of the opposite of what a pedophile would do? Wouldn't that kind of be a bit too fucking ironic, and wouldn't that be a little bit ridiculous? But nevertheless, it just began with this like little pointless shit slinging with nothing but insults, and I started asking him questions, and basically he just pretended that he didn't hear anything I fucking said, responded with an insult, trying to get me heated enough to join a Skype call with him. And it's obvious why he wanted me in a Skype call. I mean, it's so fucking obvious that it's not even funny. Like, normally people like him want people in Skype calls that they've had problems with in the past. It's not to set the record straight, it's not to clarify misconceptions. Because last time I tried to clear things up about that particular topic, all that happened was Burn Coalition and Nick gave me the runaround, kept calling me a pedophile over and over again instead of listening to the point I was trying to make about context and about censorship. And the fact that TV shows and other things like that censor things in the exact same way, and yet for some reason you don't see people labeling them as pedophiles. However, all that seemed to fall upon deaf ears because all they simply did was go around the same repetitive bullshit where they just browbeat me and browbeat me. They basically just fucking did that until finally I got frustrated and caved. And it wasn't an admission of guilt as to being a pedophile, it was an admission of guilt of having done something stupid and pulled a really immature prank. Which should have been more thought out, it should have been more tastefully prepared, it should have just been a picture of his face instead of the picture that I had used. But the picture itself was censored heavily in the areas in which it should have been censored. Like, there was no reason to censor any other area other than his junk, which had a plain fucking photoshopped over it anyway. But I did the extra censorship just to make sure that I was falling in line with YouTube's terms of service and their guidelines. Because even though it may have been a dick thing to do, no pun intended, I still wanted it to be following the rules. The thing is, though, instead of just simply criticizing my choice of how I did things, it became more or less just a never-ending smear campaign. And it's because of that that I did not want to come to a Skype call with Marbles. Because I knew for a fact that if I did, it would just evolve into the same bullshit that it always had evolved with him. Basically, I would end up joining a fucking Skype call just so he, Heather, and anyone else in between could bullshit some more, or basically just say shit towards me and make me feel shitty about myself, all the while knowing that I almost seriously harmed myself, if not killed myself, the last time that shit happened. And here's the funny part, he admits to not caring. Like, he openly admits to not caring that it could have had caused me to kill myself. Because apparently if another person dies because of constant harassment by people like him, it's perfectly fine. But if we all know the shoe was on the other foot, he'd be screaming and crying and demanding other people give him justice. And honestly, it's not even about what you did to me. Like, what you did to me is not the important part here. You can call me an asshole, you can call me whatever the fuck you want till you're blue in the face, but that doesn't make it true. I mean, I can say that it rains candy on fall days, but that does not make that statement true. I mean, throwing a handful of candy corn on the ground when someone's not looking and saying it's raining candy isn't the same as it actually raining candy. Just like when you try to strawman the fuck out of an argument by saying, well, you're doing this, so it's this, despite the fact that everything points the opposite direction. And when I tried to confront him about other things that people had done because of the shit that he had said, he more or less basically evaded the question or ignored it entirely. Because he realized that if he answered the question, he wouldn't have anything to motivate me to join in the call. It was basically just him trying to either piss me off to the point to where I'd be heated enough to join, or try to get me into the call so that he could bullshit and basically treat me like shit, scream at me and act like a fucking psycho. And the funny thing is, someone who knowingly enjoys seeing other people in mental distress like that, especially someone who has a disability, and you know they have a disability, they admit to it, they openly discuss it with other people who you have talked to and know because of all this little drama bullshit. And the fact that you seem to target me not because of what I said, not because of what I did, because honestly, if I really had to guess, it's because of the autism. I think the autism is your biggest fucking trigger. It's what pisses you off. The fact that someone that has autism can call you out for being a fucking hypocrite, can call you out for not addressing double standards within your own circle of friends, who can call you out for being a manipulative fucking sociopath, who has your own girlfriend trying to contact the other person's girlfriend when both these people clearly want nothing more to do with you. Like, I'm sorry, Marbles, but it's over. I'm breaking up with you. I'm sorry, Paul, but I don't want a relationship with you. I never did. I mean, you're acting like my ex. You're, like, overly obsessed about everything that I do. And even if it does not overtly show, there are certain little red flags you're showing which give me the impression that you're still not over it. Like, the reason I bring shit up that you did in the past, it's not because I'm not over it, it's because I want to give context as to what events led up to it. I'm not gonna bullshit people and, like, spoon feed them handfuls of information just so you can pretend that you're justified in acting like a complete fucking crazy person. And it feels kind of bad, doesn't it, that someone who has mild autism can call you crazy and know full well that you happen to fit into that exact category considering the approach you have to these sort of things. I mean, seriously, you try to fucking piss me off and infuriate me, like you try to get me aggravated enough to go into a call with you, and when I don't do it, you basically just keep insulting me. And it didn't grease the wheels of negotiation, if anything. It made me have less and less confidence as to how civil you're gonna be. And that's the thing, like, you're not self-identifying. You can't realize that what you're doing is the type of shit that a sociopath would do. I mean, you've proven to be a sadist who enjoys seeing other people emotionally distraught for your own amusement. I mean, that's why you leaked some guy 827's argument with his fiance. It wasn't because you wanted to expose him or save his former fiance. It's because you wanted to shit on him. The same reason you created that false quote from Official Gattaca, the same reason you created the false quote from Ranter and Shades. It wasn't about trying to get even with them because of something they made that you didn't like. It was because of the fact that they starved you for attention. They refused to give you the attention that you were so desperate for, so you had to do something to try to reach out at them, to try to swipe at them, to try to get their attention. Basically, it's like the equivalent of a fucking Facebook poke. You're trying to provoke them and piss them off to the point where they give you what you want. And now someone's going to say, well, you're feeding the troll right now, Gage. It's like, yeah, I'm feeding a troll, but the thing is, I'm feeding the troll by acting calm and civil. I may be swearing, but I'm not angry. But let me tell you about something that does cause me to be pissed off. It pisses me off that you ignore the fact and downplay the fact that I was suicidal because of shit that people you know had goaded them into doing. It pisses me off that you try to act like someone else going through severe mental anguish, regardless of who it is, as a joke. I mean, you said the same shit about Take Shot Action. You said Take Shot Action self-harming in a tiny chat was funny. You tried to pretend that was a big fucking joke when he's dealing with depression. And basically what you did was you tried to attribute his depression to fucking YouTube, instead of taking 5 minutes to pull your fucking head out of your ass and realize that maybe, just maybe, it's personal shit that has him upset, and not something as trivial as YouTube. And that's the thing, like, you think that your comments on my videos were what got to me? No. The comments were basically just these annoying little nitpicky things which weren't that big of a fucking deal. What got to me was the fact that you started trying to, like, burrow yourself into my personal life, and you tried to socially engineer conflict between my girlfriend and myself. You tried to fuck with my family. And I know it's you that created the fucking suck account on Facebook, who I guess I can call Greelan, because let's face it, no one else fucking cared that much. Like, no one else really had that much of a need to do it. Like, you did that because I'm pretty sure that you needed drama. And the thing is, though, when I stopped engaging with you, it seems like your channel took a pretty sizable hit. Because all of a sudden, all the people that came to see you, quote-unquote, owning the autistic, because, yeah, someone who's really mentally sound needs to go and, like, fucking attack someone with mental disabilities. Yeah, you're such a big, strong man, huh? Attack someone who has a mental disability just because you yourself have problems in your own little shit life and you need to find whatever you can to escape from it. The thing is, though, it's obvious why you fucking did it. You did it because you knew it would generate drama. You did it because you knew it would give you an ego boost to see someone get mad. And At the time, I was fucking furious. At the time, I was through the roof because I couldn't believe that someone would have the gall and the audacity to try to fuck with my family, to try to fuck with my relationship, when I myself had done nothing of like of the likes of that to them. And before you say, well, it wasn't me, well, can you provide proof that it wasn't you? Like, can you actually show me a screenshot of a Facebook account or a login that it wasn't you? But then again, the account seemed to fuck off when my uncle and I both called it out. So that only means that A, the account has since deleted itself, or B, whoever did it decided that it would be best to pretend that it didn't happen, because then I could end up showing that to the cops as well. Very creative, by the way, using a picture of my girlfriend with her ex. Although I have to say it's an A for effort, but an F for execution. Because honestly, you could have used a lot more creative things. Like, you literally could have used a multitude of different things. You could have made a meme. Like, you could have done a bunch of really funny shit, which would have really helped deliver your point and help drive it home. But you didn't do that. Like, you didn't do that. Instead, you figured the best thing to do was to use something so on the nose and retarded that it basically just made me facepalm at how stupid and obvious it was. Now, this is going to be my last little part of this, because honestly, I feel like I've given you too much time as it is. I feel like I've given you way too much fucking attention. And I know I'm feeding a troll. Like, people are going to tell me, well, you're feeding the troll on YouTube. You were done with this guy, you were finished with him, and yes, I am finished with him. This is basically more or less just the epilogue afterwards. The epilogue of the Marble Saga. Of him being a manipulative psychopath who stalks you on Facebook Saga. And before someone says, well, he didn't stalk you because he was on that group. No, I don't think, it's not about him being on the group. That was coincidence. I understand that's coincidence. But the fact is, like, he had found where I worked by watching my Facebook account since I had never posted it publicly. Like, I posted it in a comment section on my Facebook account to a relative of mine, and the only way he could have found that out is if he was constantly monitoring my Facebook to see where I was. Otherwise, he wouldn't have known, because I would never tag myself on YouTube as to where I worked or what I was doing. That's kind of creepy, isn't it? It's kind of creepy that someone's actually following your Facebook page regularly to see what you're doing. I mean, that's very discomforting. That's very disquieting, and that's very disconcerting. It makes you feel very creeped out that someone would put that much effort forward, that they've literally tried to fuck your life up because of some bullshit you said on YouTube. And that's the thing, like, he turns these things that would only be on YouTube, like they would have been like these stupid, inane, harmless little things, and then he turns them into, like, personal attacks. Like, instead of simply saying, well, okay, you criticized me on YouTube, you asked me questions I didn't want to answer on YouTube, and I fucked with you for like 8 months before I just answered the question. And the thing is, though, instead of doing all that, instead of just answering the question on YouTube, it's like, I gotta turn this into a personal thing. Because my channel is struggling for drama. Because people are getting sick of me doing Cloud9 and simply talking about the same tired bullshit that everyone's already discussed. I mean, seriously, like, what does Cloud9 do? Is it basically just a bunch of men in their late 20s sitting around on a fucking Google Hangout bitching about bullshit that happened to people that they no longer associate with? I mean, I've had people who've seen it and they've pretty much I'm going to paraphrase what they said. It's basically just a bunch of grown-ass men sitting in a podcast bitching about bullshit that happened with people that they no longer talk to and who want nothing more to do with them. And they basically seem to stroke each other's egos and basically circle jerk each other about how clever they think the other people are for having fucked with these people in some of the most disgusting ways possible. And the thing is, I actually watched one episode. It was like a very early episode. It was filmed a couple of years ago that was on an archive channel because one of my cousins actually requested me to watch it. And basically I felt like I wanted to drive a fucking ice pick into my brain the whole time. Because maybe out of like every 20 things, they would say one thing that would get a little giggle out of me because it was slightly funny in the concept of what they were talking about in regards to like the sort of weird shit that a person jokes about when they're high. And then the rest of it was like nothing more but just relentless circle jerking or bashing the autistic or shitting on people who they don't even talk to anymore. Like, honestly, I'm surprised there wasn't some motherfucker on there just shitting about his ex. And before someone says, well, you're a hypocrite because you posted that story in that group. Well, the thing is, though, I didn't give my ex's name. I didn't give locations. I censored particular parts of the story because A, it was true, and B, I wanted to at least let that person be anonymous because I didn't want people fucking with them. Like, even though that person and I are no longer together, I have respect for that person, and I don't want to violate their fucking privacy like that. And the sad part is, when you see people doing shit like that, they know full well what they're doing is creepy and wrong, and it just doesn't make them look good. It doesn't. Like, sure, what I did was fucking stupid and really immature. Like, I could have handled it a multitude of different ways by simply just pitching a rant, which I might end up doing eventually if I really want to get around to re-uploading the audio only, and then just putting, like, a picture of, say, like a fucking elephant seal or something as heavy as Emery in it. But nevertheless, to me, it just seemed like a tremendous fucking waste of time even trying to reason with him or trying to talk to him. Like, I didn't really insult him, that's the thing. Like, the funny thing is, I actually was restraining myself very much. I was showing an amazing amount of restraint for someone like myself who has a little bit of a problem with being impulsive. I was actually showing quite a bit of restraint on my behalf, and I may have insulted him once or twice, maybe a few times, but the point being is, I was being pretty civil, I was being pretty rational. And the thing is, though, every time I would refuse to join, he would just insult me, which means, like, he's trying to clearly manipulate me into going. Like, he's trying to very subtly try to manipulate me by pissing me off into where I go, just so he'll shut the fuck up. And I didn't do it because, well, let's face it, I know that if I did do it, it would basically just be a repeat of last time, like I already said. But here is my biggest issue. Here's the part that has gotten me to the point to where I don't really care what I say to you, what I say about you, about what I say about your little scumfuck puppets who seem to only dance when you pull the right string. Because basically that's what they are. Like, your friends will tell you if you're going too far. Your friends will at least counsel you or advise you about things that you do and say, well, maybe this is too far, maybe this might be a little much. And honestly, David said that it was a little much, and then he thought about it for a minute. It's like, never mind, it should be okay. This is funny as hell. Because it was only intended to be a joke. It was only intended to be like a shock humor piece. Just, I was experimenting with it and trying to see if it would be funny. And it wasn't. Like, the rant itself was fucking hilarious because it was point blank, to the point. It didn't fuck around. It wasn't filled with gratuitous insults for the most part. It was pretty much dead on about the issue. And the thing is, I should have listened to David's first response and had toned it down. And had simply used another picture. Because I realized, like, the next day, I realized, well, yeah, this is a little bit much. I went a little bit too far. I should issue an apology. And it wasn't because of what people were saying, it's because I myself came to the realization that it was a bit much. I didn't need to get fucking harassed to realize that I did something that was a little bit out of line. Well, I'm not gonna say a little bit, because it was tremendously out of line. But compared to what other people in the same little group of scumfucks I dealt with did, it's kind of par for the course. But let's get into the aftermath of that, shall we? After the Skype call, like literally just an hour after the call had ended, after it had been uploaded and everything, like before I fucking knew it, I got email after email after email after email, literally 10 pages worth of emails, 50 emails per page. So it's 500 fucking emails of people telling me to kill myself, people telling me to kill myself, people saying they were gonna kill me, people threatening to kill my family, people threatening to burn my fucking house down. People threatening to rape my fucking girlfriend. People threatening to shoot my mother in the head. People threatening to find my father and kill him. People threatening to attack my aunt and uncle and hurt my young cousin. People threatening to find my brother and hurt his girlfriend who had not yet had their kid. So it's safe to assume that I was pretty justifiably upset. And I was pretty reasonably emotionally distraught because people in my family were being threatened. I figured that if I harmed myself or did something like that, then maybe, just maybe, it would appease them enough to not fuck with the people in my life. I wasn't worried about my own fucking self-preservation at that point. I was worried about the people fucking around me because I didn't know how far those fucks would go. And I think it's funny, asshole. I think it's funny that you say shit like that is fucking hilarious. Well, you know for a fact that if people did it to you, you'd be in the exact same fucking situation I was in. You'd be just as fucking distraught. Especially when they're actually sending your fucking address in their emails, sending your mother's home address in the email, sending your uncle's address and aunt's address in the emails, sending your brother's home address in the email. They're sending all these different addresses to individual members of your own immediate family, threatening your family with death or harm. And you don't seem to think that's a big fucking issue. And it still fucking pisses me off to no end. Because you're such a fucking retard, you don't seem to think that that shit's fucking crazy. Oh, it's over the internet, it doesn't matter. Fuck you, you fucking idiot. Like, what the fuck? Do you think you can just read everyone's mind and be fully aware of everyone's intentions? What if, motherfucker, what if someone showed up at my fucking house and shot my fucking relatives? Huh? What then? Would you simply sit there in court since you were the one that initially leaked my address before you started handing it out? And say, well, I didn't know it was going to happen. Do you know how bad of a fucking flimsy excuse that would be? Do you know how flimsy of a fucking excuse that would be? The prosecutor would look at you for like 2 fucking seconds. The judge would have the jury come back after having reached the verdict. Your ass would be guilty. You'd be in prison for like fucking 15 years, getting pounded in the ass by literally every other person and their cellmate because they always like the pretty boys. And I don't feel bad about saying that because that's exactly how that would have fucking turned out. And believe me, I really have considered calling the fucking cops and getting the fucking Federal Bureau of Investigation involved. And the reason I have done these things, it's not because of some stupid shit that you said about me. It's because people in my family have been threatened repeatedly. And their addresses have been posted in these emails. I can't even show you these emails because of how fucking graphic they are. And yet you seem to think that this is a completely rational response to someone having called you an asshole. Like, a normal human being doesn't reach that fucking... They don't reach that fucking conclusion where it's like, well, you see, you posted a picture on the internet, therefore your whole family has to be raped, burned, and die. And I don't give a fuck what happens to you either, because it's perfectly fine if I do shit like that in similar ways. But it's perfectly wrong if you do it in a way that's not as malicious or harmful. I mean, motive matters. And when my motive for that fucking image, it was meant to be a goddamn joke. It was meant to be a fucking immature prank that was gonna get some shock humor. And honestly, the fact that you do similar things to different people within the same fucking context, and you don't seem to take issue with that, it makes me fucking sick. Because it only proves you to be a tremendous fucking hypocrite. I mean, you are a huge fucking hypocrite. I mean, for example, like, I talked about the age of consent and how it should have been raised. You label me a pedophile. Emery makes rape jokes towards someone else's girlfriend. You don't have any fucking issue with that whatsoever. But if someone were to make a rape joke, you would immediately label that person as a rape apologist or a rape culture supporter or a rapist or anything under the sun because it would best make your feminist motive look better. And the funny thing is, you do all these little things towards my girlfriend. It makes me doubt the fact that you're even a sincere feminist. Like, it was my understanding that feminists are supposed to respect women and treat women better than people like myself who are egalitarians or centralist, who have, like, kind of a mixed feeling about everything going on. Because we prefer to be in the center so we understand both points of view and take parts from both arguments to see that each one can have a valid point within reason. But the thing is, you exploited something of hers that was deeply personal that was very upsetting for me as an individual to watch, who I did not even know she had uploaded it till the following week because she had never told me about it. And the funny thing is, people acted like me being concerned for her mental state because of that video. They tried to act like I was controlling her when I was legitimately concerned because of how distraught she was. And the funny thing is, you don't think that what you did has had an effect on her. She doesn't know that I found this out. She doesn't know. But the truth is, I've seen the way she responded when people started commenting rape threats and shit. I see how she responded, how frightened she was. And for some reason you're going to tell me that a rational person who's completely normal, who is a person of sound state of mind, would go around threatening someone that has depression with rape or harm, or threaten to find their address? Like, you think a normal fucking person would sit there and do this? Of course not. Like, a normal person doesn't have the fucking capacity to do that because they realize they've gone too far. Why do you think I got so upset when the picture was released? Like, I got upset when I realized how far it went. And then I got more upset when I realized that I was being fucking corralled into a Skype call, basically just to issue a false confession. Because that's what cops do too. Cops will also make you issue a false confession if they basically torment you and they basically confuse you mentally to where you just say whatever they want to hear so it'll be over. And cops are known to, on some occasions, coerce confessions. The same reason Burn Coalition and Nick coerced a false confession out of me. Because they realized that I was already emotionally distraught and they knew they could milk it. And they did. I mean, I don't understand how much of a piece of shit you really have to be to sit there and pretend that everything you do is justifiable if it's in the name of defending your reputation. I don't give a fuck about my reputation on YouTube. My reputation on YouTube can go suck a cock as far as I care. My reputation on YouTube is completely irrelevant here. But what I find to be relevant is the fact that you know people and you associate with people who will knowingly threaten a person with rape and murder and bodily harm for their own fucking amusement, knowing that the person that they're threatening could actually feel very afraid and very threatened because of the fact that you yourself gave these people that person's address as a means to threaten them. All the while, you like to pretend that that shit that happened with Grace never happened at all. And the funny thing is, I would have believed you about those things being false had it not been for the fact that your fucking response to it, to so-called prove yourself innocent, it didn't look very convincing. The video looked like it was manufactured. It didn't look like it was a capture of something that was actually proven. It looked more like something someone whipped up to save their own ass. And that's not even my disdain for you saying that. That is me looking at that like an objective third party who saw what happened after looking into it. And to me, that excuse was way too convenient. And even if it was correct, it would have been a possibility. But like Micah's Island said, he would have no reason to attack someone who he considered a friend unless that friend had done something that he clearly disagreed with and that clearly upset him. I mean, to me it would sound kind of weird that he would just randomly decide to turn his back on you and attack you for no fucking reason. And I don't think he would go so far as to try to label you a pederast just because you would call him out for fucking plagiarizing. Like, I don't think plagiarizing is going to be a big enough cause for someone to do shit like that. Like, to me it just seems like you're trying to cover it up. Like, you're trying to cover your ass cheeks with your own hands so fucking hard and so fucking desperately that you don't care how desperate it looks when you're trying to clench your cheeks together to deny the fact that you've basically walked around with your pants down long enough so that people have had time to gather information about the shit that you pulled. I hate to say it, but when you do shit like what you did today, you play right into my fucking hands. Because I knew for a fact you were going to ask me to get in the call as soon as I talked to you. I knew for a fact you were gonna insult me and insult my girlfriend and try to goad me into joining. I knew for a fact that if that didn't work, you'd just whip up a Facebook Messenger group just so you could have me invited. I knew you were going to do these things the moment I messaged you. And the reason I did know is because that's your fucking pattern. Like, you don't need to be a fucking psychologist to see that when a pattern starts to emerge, it becomes more apparent. And your pattern is deny, repeat, deny, repeat. Something fucked up happens. Exploit, exploit, exploit. Someone tries to refute it or prove themselves innocent or maybe try to explain what happened in a better way. Browbeat, 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 coerce confession, and then exploit, exploit, exploit. And if someone were to come back afterwards, like how I've come back, and try to maintain some level of normality afterwards to try to recover from the episode that happened, you basically do what you always do. And you desperately try to wriggle back into this person's mind. You try to plant yourself into this person's life so that you can make up whatever justification you can if they say something mean to you. And if they make something, like if they say a statement that makes you butthurt and pisses you off, you basically use that statement as a justification. Everything and anything anyone's ever said to you that you didn't happen to like, it always cuts deeper than you say it does. And the reason that it does is because you just have a really fucking thin skin. Think about it. When I commented on your Facebook, not your Facebook, but your YouTube page, back when this bullshit all first started, it was only 2 comments. Thing is, though, you responded to those 2 comments with 3. And then I would reply, and then you respond with another, and then it would go back and forth until finally I said, fuck it, I'm done, and then I block you. And then you had Geber show up, then Geber Goose's, Geber's alternate profile over there just shows up. And before I knew it, you got like 100 circle-jerking little lapdogs trying to fuck with me just because I did some shit that you didn't like. And the funny part is, this all happened just because you didn't answer the question. Like, you could have just simply answered the question right off the bat, none of it would have fucking happened. But you knew for a fact that your channel was having some issues. Like, your comments were dropping, your views were dropping, so you figured the best thing to do would be to exploit what I said to you and turn it into a justification. And that's what you did. You used your alternate accounts, your Jesse Esrick Phone with Logic account, as a means to stalk my girlfriend via her YouTube channel. You would constantly send shit to her in her comment section, trying to fuck with her and upset her, because you figured it would be a good way to get to me. And the funny thing is, before you say, well, how do you know it's a suck account? Because you yourself confirmed it. In one of your own videos where you went through your accounts on your phone, you confirmed my suspicions. Like, I already had a good amount of suspicion to prove that Lolmeister, the photo with the eagle, and Jesse Esrick Phone with Logic were all 3 of your accounts, as well as your main account and your backup. But basically, you just confirmed what I already had a gut feeling about. One thing I've learned is that my gut is hardly ever wrong. When you get that feeling in the pit of your stomach that something is wrong and that something is definitely fucked up with this person, that feeling is right 8 times out of 10. And this usually goes for almost everyone. But if you use that feeling and then your own feelings toward the person as a justification to pursue that gut instinct, that's how you know you're being fucking misled by your own vendetta. And honestly, I feel like that's what this is. That's what I feel this is. You're misled to fuck with me by your own personal issue with me. It doesn't stem from what I did, it stems from the fact that I said some shit you didn't want people to hear. Because it would make some people double take. It gives some people room for pause to look at you and look at your behavior and see the type of shit you do to people. And you're afraid of that. You're afraid of people leaving your channel, and you're afraid of losing relevance. My channel doesn't need to be relevant for me to have an opinion. Like, for fuck's sake, if I have no subscribers, I would still make content because at least then I would still get to vent my opinions. I mean, that's pretty much what this channel is just me venting. And the funny thing is, you turned me venting as a long list of justifications for the creepy shit that you pull. I mean, basically, this video is just fucking with your head. Because I just want to see how desperate you are to get back at me. I just want to see how desperate you are to try to make a justification for everything that I say. I mean, right now I'm pretty sure you're watching this video, if not, someone else in your little collective circle is, and they're just going to either send you a link or they're going to tell you the title of the video on the channel, you're going to come get a look at it, and basically what you're going to do, which it seems to be true to form for you, is whip up another couple accounts, spell some bullshit, launch more accusations my way, and in the turn, nothing will be accomplished. Everything I've said thus far is true. I have said only what I know to be true. I may have fucked up once and went with false information, but now I know what I'm saying to be true. And by all means, you don't have to like me. By any means do you have to like me. Like, you could hate me as though I'm Hitler and Satan and the bubonic plague and Ebola combined. But that does not make you any better than myself. In fact, the fact that you let your own hate and your own dislike of me become a reflection as to how you treat people that I know just because you don't like me, it makes you look fucking cynical. It makes you look like a fucking asshole. I mean, it really does. Because when you start targeting people close to me just because you can't get to me, it comes off as petty. It's like, well, I see you're friends with this person I don't like, I'm gonna attack you out of desperation. And that's what it seems, like you reek of desperation. Just like this little ploy to try to get me into a call in a group, it was just a ploy. It was just a last-ditch effort to get more fodder, to get more views. That's pretty much what that was. Like, you wouldn't have kept it strictly on Skype. You wouldn't have kept it strictly on Facebook. I mean, fuck, if I joined you on Skype, Lachlan would have just recorded the whole fucking thing. You would have just used it for more fucking ammo. It's like, well, see, we're talking to a pedophile. Well, someone we're calling a pedophile. He doesn't actually have an attraction to children or teenagers, but he's still a pedophile. Because, you know, lols. And it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad that a person like you, who apparently is smart enough to do all the things that require you to be able to dox and track my location, but for some reason you don't have the fucking intelligence to just get the fuck over it. To get the fuck over me. I mean, I've tried ending this little bullshit fest with you 4 times. And every time I've tried to end this little shit with you, you've always found another way to wriggle back into it. I mean, you're kind of like a fucking cockroach. No matter how many times I try to crush you and sweep you into the garbage bin, you find a way to get your exoskeleton back in order, just so you can crawl back out of the trash bin and try to get right back into my lunch. That's basically the best metaphor for you, really, is a fucking cockroach. I mean, because you're a disgusting insect-looking parasite who has nothing better to do with his time than try to fuck other people's lives up. I mean, seriously, you do all this little fucking passive-aggressive shit, which isn't that bad, which frankly I could care less about. And when that doesn't work, you resort to doing some really creepy stalker-esque bullshit in an attempt to justify yourself. And if someone gets pissed off because of that, you pretty much proclaim, victory! Well, yeah, it's good to see other people have such small motivations in their life that it makes it a whole lot fucking easier for you to just attack someone or shit on someone or bullshit your way through a problem. All I have to say is, and this video has gone on for way too fucking long, but my last statement is the fact that you seriously gotta wonder how alone someone really is, that they have to go to such a length to fuck someone else's life up. Like, seriously, how shitty is your own life that you gotta try to make someone else's life just as bad, if not worse? Like, seriously, like, how bad is your life that you seem to think that everyone else needs to go down but you, so that you can lift yourself up? I mean, usually that's like the trait of a textbook sociopath. Is someone who enjoys seeing other people in pain, someone who has no reaction to someone else being in pain, in terms of, like, people they don't know, they don't care. Like, you seem to lack empathy. You seem to lack the ability to understand that certain things that you've done are clearly reprehensible, clearly fucked up, where I understand that certain things I've done have been fucking stupid and wrong. And all the while, everything you've really done in between has just been one giant gratuitous excuse after another. Like, you can threaten me, you can dox me, you can do all this shit to me, but you're not gonna make me respect you. Like, you're not gonna make me look at you as though you're someone who really deserves to be feared. I don't really fear you. I don't fear what you yourself are gonna do as a person. I'm more worried about the people that follow you who don't think about anything you say and who seem to just mindlessly follow you like fucking drones. Like, I'm more worried about what those crazy fuckers are gonna do. Because you yourself, you can't guarantee anyone's safety. You can't guarantee the safety of someone that you have talked shit about. You can't guarantee the safety of their relatives or loved ones. And yet, for some reason, you seem to think that that's completely okay. Like, the chance, despite the chance being minute, is there that someone could get fucking hurt or worse because of something that you say. I mean, hell, it almost fucking happened once already. And some of the people who are no longer friends of yours, who I've heard of and talked with a while ago, who I didn't talk with on air, who I didn't make a video about talking with this person, they pretty much said that they're actually kind of scared of you. And the reason they said they're scared of you is because they're afraid that if they were to come forward, you'd fuck their life up. Or that you'd try to fuck them over if they said something that might make you a little bit upset. Or might make you raise your eyebrow in confusion and a little bit of betrayal. I mean, seriously, the fact that you do all these things, the fact that you constantly try to downplay everything, and you knowingly do this for no other reason other than the fact that you need to excuse it, you need to justify it any way that you can. You're so fucking self-deluded that you gotta constantly cook up these little justifications. And you gotta try to make sure that the person that is saying the shit on your behalf is like a martyr if they get blocked. Well, you see, this person blocked him because he was threatening him. We gotta do it more. We gotta issue more threats. We gotta try to issue more threats of rape. We gotta try to issue more threats of murder. We gotta issue more threats of killing this person's family or great fucking bodily harm. We gotta issue more threats towards this person's work environment and their ability to support themselves. Why? Because he made me butthole tickled on YouTube. Like, I can't keep it on YouTube. It has to be in his personal life. Because you live on YouTube, okay? Just fucking admit it, dude. The internet is your whole life. Because if it wasn't, you wouldn't have taken it so seriously. Like, you couldn't have taken anything I said so seriously if it wasn't for the fact that it threatened you being able to fuck with people. And that's what sociopaths fear. They threaten someone being able to question their power. They fear people being able to question their ego trip. They fear people being able to see through the bullshit and call the things that they do into question. Because they fear that if other people look at it, they'll become aware of it and they will stop supporting you as well. And you seem to not understand that certain things happen for certain reasons. The reason I responded to what you did in regards to my girlfriend's emotional breakdown, it wasn't because of the fact that you did it to me. It's because of the fact that you betrayed your own ideology of being a so-called feminist by taking advantage of a girl and exploiting her as a prop when you yourself are supposed to be against any sort of female exploitation. Hypocrite. And you did this, you basically used her. You used her to get to me. You used her and took advantage of her emotional problems to get to me. And I don't care who the fuck you are, or where the fuck you're from, or what bullshit reason you have to do so. That is never okay. That is never alright. Like, I know for a fact that if you had a fight with Heather, or if Heather was emotionally distraught, and if she had uploaded like a video of herself freaking the fuck out, because she wanted to be able to show a therapist so that she could get help with the proper doses of medication, like, I know for a fact that if someone like myself, since you hate me so fucking much, took advantage of that, you would use that and you would try to fuck me over 6 ways from Sunday because of that. Like, you wouldn't care about whether or not it was a minute or 10 minutes or an hour. You would not care. The fact that I did it once would be more than enough justification for you. But for some reason, if I do it, like, if you do it, it's okay. But if I were to do it, it would be a fucking crime against humanity. And the thing is, you don't seem to understand that what you do is wrong. Either that or you just don't care. And it kind of really frightens me just a tiny bit that someone like you can just skate through these moral boundaries. And you can just like weave your way through it. You'll just bob and weave through all these little loopholes and all these little bullshit excuses. And you do this not because you want to help anyone. You don't do this to expose people. You do this to fuck other people over because it gives you an ego boost. Don't bullshit people and pretend that you're trying to expose someone for being the most terrible human being alive. Because quite frankly, it's all bullshit. I mean, everything you've ever fucking said, everything you've ever fucking done on your little channel has been nothing more but a gratuitous excuse to fuck other people over. It's always been about the fucking ego trip. It's always been about you seeking power. Because you don't have it. You don't have the power to take responsibility for your own life choices in your personal life outside of the fucking internet, so you gotta use the internet as an excuse. You go on the internet to basically wave your digital dick around and trying to swing it around and acting like you're so big and tough. You're just some random asshole who decided that if he could make a channel and then make a whole, I guess you can say, make a career out of acting like a completely cynical, misanthropic fuck who hates everyone else around him, and seems to have people who hate everyone else around him just as much as he does. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, you got like a whole little pod of crazy fucking people living in an echo chamber where no one's allowed to have a difference in opinion. And you don't seem to realize that. I don't know if you just choose to not recognize it, or if you simply know that it's there. I don't know if you know that it's there, or if you simply just ignore it. It's either you know that it's there, or you ignore it, or you somehow are unaware of it. Like, you're so deluded in your justification for doing so. You're so deluded in your white knighting, holier-than-thou quest to make other people look like the asshole, that you yourself do not see wrongdoing in your own actions. And you excuse your own actions with whatever bullshit happens to suit it best. And quite frankly, it's fucking disgusting. It's fucking disgusting. It's not funny to anyone. Nobody finds this shit amusing. Like, I've showed your videos to people I know and people who I'm acquainted with, and their overwhelming consensus is, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Like, I've shown screenshots and shit of people that follow you and you yourself, things that you have said, and the thing is, they said either A, they think you're an idiot, B, they think you're a fucking crazy person, or C, the latter. Like, even people like Phone with Logic had standards. Like, the real Phone with Logic tried to troll me, but he and I talked for like a few minutes, and he apologized and that was it. Like, I never heard from the guy again in a negative way since then. Like, even people like Phone with Logic have standards and integrity, and for some reason you don't. How sad does that make you feel, that someone like Phone with Logic is a better human being than you? That has to sting, doesn't it? That has to really burrow deep down into your center, knowing the fact that you will never be anything more but the guy who's on Cloud 9. Your whole existence is inside that tightly wrapped little ball that you call YouTube. And you're so devoted to your self-preservation on YouTube, to covering up the shit that you do on YouTube, that you just believe that anything you do to cover it up is justified. And it is disgusting. I mean, it's fucking sickening to me. It makes me sick to my fucking stomach, knowing that people like you develop a fucking following. Like, I know a lot of people talk about Onision, well, you're just fucking like him. You're just like him. Like, a lot of the same behaviors that he exhibits is the same shit that I see you displaying. The only difference is you don't have as big of an audience, and your audience is probably guys instead of teenage girls. But other than that, other than those two differences, you're basically the same fucking person. I mean, you're both duplicitous liars, you both cover up evidence of shit that you've done in the past instead of just coming right out with saying it. You both don't care what you have to do to silence the other person that's talking shit about you or trying to speak up about things that you've done, even if it goes so far as to dox them or threaten them. You're more than willing to talk shit about people who this person is associated with when you claim to be trying when you claim to be an advocate for the same organization and movement that's supposed to be for protecting that type of person, otherwise known as a woman. Like, basically, you're so hypocritical and self-deluded in your own little white knight fest that you don't seem to understand that you're doing the exact same shit that you think everyone else that you disagree with and have attacked and have tried to fuck over has done. Like, you end up doing, in certain cases, worse than the other person has done. To try to piss them off, to try to get a response, to try to really get them angry at you. And yet you wonder why it is I have such an adverse reaction to you trying to get me in a call. It should be pretty self-evident that I no longer want anything to do with you. I don't know how many more fucking times I need to say it. Like, you sound like the overly attached girlfriend. Sorry, but the relationship that you and I developed on YouTube, buddy, Paulie, it's over, okay? I'm sorry, Paulie, but you're just not the right guy for me, okay, Paulie? Like, I'm pretty sure you'd love to jerk off to my muscular leg, but I'm sorry, Paulie. I refuse, and I cannot emphasize this enough, I refuse to give you any more attention than this, to give you any more fodder, to give you any more shit to honestly shit on, because let's face it, you've already done more than enough, and with far too little a result.